is going on, everyone? My name is Ghiman McKinney, or you can just call me Juice because that is my nickname. So, breaking news, a big time trade has went down today. And by the way, guys, I am going to be dropping a video tomorrow morning. First thing tomorrow morning, I'll have a video up talking about all the free agency moves, all the big time trades that have happened within the last 24 to 48 hours. There's a lot to talk about. I'll just break down all those trades in one singular video and just, kind of break it down for you guys. But either way, I want to talk about this trade specifically because I think it's a big time trade that needs to be noteworthy and deserves its own separate video. So, look, the Houston Texans have traded away DeAndre Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals, and the Texans in return get David Johnson and a second round pick, and the Cardinals get a fourth round pick and Pro Bowl wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, okay? So what do I think about this move? Let's talk about it. I think this is an A+ move for the Arizona Cardinals. I really love the way the Arizona Cardinals are operating. I would say about a couple months ago, I made a video talking about the top 4 teams that are on the rise as far as young NFL teams go, and I put the Cardinals on that list, and I feel even more confident about the Arizona Cardinals' future after this trade. They brought in Vance Joseph to really improve the defense this past year. The defense still needs a lot of work, but they made a lot of strides. Kyler Murray, they got their quarterback. They traded away Josh Rosen. They drafted Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray goes out and wins Rookie of the Year. I am a huge believer in Kyler Murray as an NFL franchise quarterback. I believe Kyler Murray, when he puts it all together, when the Cardinals, put a real team around him, I believe he's going to be a top 5 NFL quarterback in the game of football. I just really am a big believer in Kyler Murray. He makes A+ level decisions. He's a big time strong arm. He throws one of the tightest spirals in the NFL. He's accurate, makes good decisions, and just his ability to make plays off schedule, running the football, throwing on the run. Kyler Murray is just a star-studded quarterback as far as his talent goes. I am a huge believer that Kyler Murray can win me a Super Bowl long-term. I really think Kyler Murray is a slam-dunk quarterback in the NFL. I think he's going to be a star, and I think this move really is going to help Kyler Murray in this Cardinals offense for next year. They really need a true number 1 wide receiver. I like Andy Isabella. I like Hakeem Butler, who's going to come back healthy next year. I like Christian Kirk, but I see all those guys as number 3s and number 2s. Now they're getting an established number 1 wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, a guy that over the past 6 years, 5 of those 6 years, he's had over 1,000 yards, and over 6 years, he's got 52 receiving touchdowns. So that's a lot of production. He finds the end zone. DeAndre Hopkins is easily one of the 3 best wide receivers in football right now. It's Michael Thomas, it's Julio Jones, and it's DeAndre Hopkins, wherever order you want to put those guys in. Either way, the Cardinals just got a top 3 NFL wide receiver, and they only had to give up a second-round pick and David Johnson for him. I mean, that's very key because David Johnson, look, he burst onto the scene in 2016. He was very good that year. But ever since then, it's kind of, been washed up. Last year, David Johnson, he only has 3.7 yards per carry. And when you look at the Cardinals roster, Kenyon Drake was the running back that made that team go. It was not David Johnson. So they have a declining running back in David Johnson, who they traded away, and a second-round pick, and you get an established number 1 wide receiver, a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, DeAndre Hopkins. I'll take that 100%. And by the way, the Cardinals now have the 8th overall pick in the NFL draft. I'm gonna be releasing a mock draft pretty soon, but in that mock draft, I had them taking CeeDee Lamb, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma. Now the Cardinals can focus on getting a premier defensive tackle or a cornerback or an offensive lineman with that 8th overall pick. If I'm them, I would look to address the offensive line because that's the one weakness of their team. But either way, this is a slam dunk trade for the Arizona Cardinals. I really like what they did, okay? Now let's get to the Houston Texans. And look, after the Texans lost in the playoffs to the Kansas City Chiefs, I said that they need to fire head coach and GM Bill O'Brien. I said Bill O'Brien is not a terrible head coach. He's a decent head coach. He's average. But the Texans have clearly hit their ceiling with Bill O'Brien, and I don't see the Texans winning a Super Bowl long-term with Bill O'Brien as their head coach. And now Bill O'Brien is acting as the GM of the Texans. I've said in the past the Texans need to go out and get a legitimate general manager that actually knows what he's doing. Now, I didn't knock Bill O'Brien for the Lermy Tunsil trade in which he traded away a bunch of first-round picks for a left tackle, Lermy Tunsil. I have a problem with that because, listen, left tackle, outside of quarterback and pass rush, that's probably the most important position on a football field. And the Houston Texans had a terrible offensive line, so I'm not going to ridicule Bill O'Brien for that. But, man, I cannot get behind this trade for the Texans. I just don't understand what they're doing. I don't get it. The Houston Texans, now that DeAndre Hopkins is gone from their team, they're left with Will Fuller, who's a very talented player, but he's not a number one wide receiver, and he's constantly hurt. And then they're left with Kuti and Kenny Stills as their wide receivers. This is not a good move for the Houston Texans as far as their offense goes. Their offense is going to take a huge hit next year. Your offense can only be so bad with Deshaun Watson as your quarterback, but again, DeAndre Hopkins is what made that offense really super, super dynamic. And I just don't think that they're going to have enough great wide receivers next year to really move the football and, threaten teams. The contenders in the AFC and the NFC, I just don't see it. Carlos Hyde, he was going to walk eventually. So I understand them trying to get a running back, but I just don't see why they couldn't have drafted a running back. Running backs in the NFL draft grow on trees. Obviously, you get a Saquon Barkley, you get an Ezekiel Elliott, your first round running backs, there's some just rare, super talented running backs, okay? I get that. But running back is not a super important position. You can literally find a starting level running back in the second, third, fourth, and even fifth round. And we've seen running backs become steals that have been undrafted and fifth and sixth round picks, and even seventh round picks. And the Texans, Look, they got a second-round pick from this trade. They now have 2 second-round picks. They didn't have a first-round pick. They got a third-round pick. They got 2 fourth-rounders and a fifth-rounder and 3 seventh-rounders, okay? You could have drafted a running back. You don't need David Johnson necessarily, okay? But I think David Johnson, he could reboot his career potentially in Houston. But my thing is, I just don't see it, man. The second-round pick that you're going to probably use to find DeAndre Hopkins' replacement, I'm sorry, I could be wrong, but he's not going to be DeAndre Hopkins. He's not. I don't like this move for the Texans. And listen, I firmly believe the Texans made this move because they have all the faith in the world in their quarterback, Deshaun Watson. I'm going to say this right now. I have all the faith in Deshaun Watson as well. I believe Deshaun Watson has a chance to be a really good all-time great quarterback. I believe he's already one of the top 5 quarterbacks in football. He's the ultimate deodorant for a team, meaning I believe Deshaun Watson can make up for lack of weapons on offense. I believe he can make up for a bad offensive line, as he did last year, as the Houston Texans had the worst offensive line in football. He was literally sacked 62 times. The guy completed 68% of his throws, threw for 4,000 yards, and had over 100 passer rating. So we've seen Deshaun Watson not have a great offensive line and still get the Texans to the playoffs and win 11 games. So we've seen what Deshaun Watson can do with not the most support. And I firmly believe the Texans made this trade because they are afraid of when Deshaun Watson is going to get his next big-time contract. Okay, Deshaun Watson is still on his rookie deal. I'm going to be shocked if he doesn't make over $35+ million annually. It could be as much as $40 million annually. So I understand the Texans are wanting to move on from some of their marquee players that they may have to pay down the road. But DeAndre Hopkins was not a huge cap hit for this team. The Texans still had nearly $50 million in cap space with DeAndre Hopkins on the roster. So this idea that they can just trade away DeAndre Hopkins and find another wide receiver that is as good as DeAndre Hopkins is ludicrous. Unless they go out and sign Amari Cooper or someone of that caliber, I just don't see this being a great move for the Texans, okay? I just don't see it. They're not going to replace DeAndre Hopkins' level of production. And DeAndre Hopkins, I believe he's 28 years old. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. He's not 30. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is 30 right now. I believe he's 28 years old. He still has 3 or 4, maybe even 5 prime years left. And you look at quarterbacks. When's Patrick Mahomes never had weapons? Even Aaron Rodgers this year, when has he never had a true number 1 wide receiver? You need elite weapons to score in the NFL. You just need them. In today's NFL, with all these offenses being so complex, you need to be able to keep up with these teams offensively. And again, you're only going to be so bad with Deshaun Watson on your team. Deshaun Watson, in my opinion, he's good for at least 10 wins. I believe him by himself can get you to 10 wins. He's that good and that dynamic of a quarterback as far as throwing and running the football. But again, you need to support Deshaun Watson. You need to give him a number one wide receiver. And now that this move has went down, I don't think the Texans, as of right now, I don't think they'll win their division. I don't see it. I could change my mind based on more free agency moves and more draft moves. But again, Tennessee now has better weapons. They have a better running game. And they have a better offensive line. A defense that at times is just as good. And Tennessee went on a run to the AFC title game last year. And the Indianapolis Colts, let me tell you something right now. Their coaching staff is really good. They are a quarterback and a piece or two on offense and defense away from being better than the Texans. And the Jaguars, they're the Jaguars, so we're not even going to talk about them. But either way, I just don't like this move for the Texans. I think that they are not doing Deshaun Watson a favor at all. I think Deshaun Watson can be the ultimate deodorant for your team. I believe he can make up for a bad offensive line and for lack of wide receivers. This is not a situation like in Dallas where Dak Prescott needs Ezekiel Elliott, needs Amari Cooper. I believe you can still win 10 games and potentially get to the playoffs with Deshaun Watson throwing the randoms at wide receiver. But either way, if you want to win a Super Bowl, if you want to compete long term, this roster's not it, okay? And this offense is not it. I don't see it. So again, I'm not going to say the Texans don't make the playoffs because of this move, but again, I am not a huge fan of it. I don't think they got nearly enough back for DeAndre Hopkins. I think this is an A+ move for the Cardinals, and I just really question what the Houston Texans did as far as supporting Deshaun Watson and moving on from DeAndre Hopkins. This is not a move that I would have made at all, and ultimately, I think that Deshaun Watson is going down the Andrew Luck pipeline. I think that the Colts at times depended too much on Andrew Luck to make plays for them, and it caught to Andrew Luck. He got hurt eventually, and the same thing with the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, he's had to carry the load for so many years. He gets hurt. He has to carry the team, and they just can never get over the hump. I just think that the Houston Texans are too Deshaun Watson dependent as of right now. Even with DeAndre Hopkins, they were too Deshaun Watson dependent. Houston got outgained last year. They don't have a great head coach. They don't have the best offensive line. And now they don't even have an established number one wide receiver. If I'm a Texans fan, I do not like this move, and I can't get behind it. I really can't. And I think the Houston Texans are doing Deshaun Watson a disservice by not supporting him on offense. He's going to have to be the ultimate deodorant for this team. And as good as Deshaun Watson is, I don't know if he can be up to this tall task. Be sure to comment where you agree with me and disagree with me. Love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video today. Be sure to smash this like button right now if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you're new as well. I do post a ton of great sports videos weekly and almost every single day if I can. A fun fact about me is I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world. I want to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. Kind of like Colin Cowherd, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp. You get the point. Okay, I want to do sports, television, and radio for a full living once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. So the best thing you guys can do to just help me continue to grow as a young broadcaster is to just share this channel with all your friends, because potentially if this channel really gets somewhere, I want to start my own network, okay? Or potentially if it doesn't, or if I fall a little bit short, I want to go into a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. So the best thing you guys can do to just flat out just help me grow as a broadcaster, help me learn, get other people hip to this channel, just share this channel with all your friends, share this channel on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, all that good stuff. Also, be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. And once again, guys, just share this channel with everyone you know. Get everyone hipped and watching these videos. Get my voice out there and heard. Share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, all that good stuff. It's been your boy, Ghiman Mckinney, or you can just call me Juice. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in today. I really do. Have a God bless day. Stay motivated, you guys, and I'm out.